Hello, everyone. Welcome to Straight Talk with Curtis Gibson. I have my guest here, Sheriff Grady Judd. Thank you again for being here. Um, I just want to just reach out to everyone to let you know you can view all the information that we put out so that we can help you understand what's taking place in our community abroad. So, Sheriff, you have the floor to open up.
Curtis, it's certainly my honor to be with you today, and we've been friends for a long time. And when you call it straight talk, that's what they're going to get today from me and you. So I am just excited to be able to talk and communicate with the community. I say my bosses because I work for all the people of Polk County, and it's an honor to serve you. And it's exciting to tell you that our crime in unincorporated Polk County and our service cities is at a 50-year low. That's right. You don't just feel safe in Polk County, you are safe. And our crime rate in Polk County is half of the state rate. That's how safe you are. So, with that, Curtis, let's answer questions that the community wants to hear about.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that opener. In Polk County's 160-year history, you are the first and only sheriff to be elected to 5 terms as sheriff. Why do you think you have such a strong rapport with the people of Polk County?
Well, I believe that I have a strong rapport with them because, first and foremost, I love the people of Polk County. I love all the people of Polk County. I love serving the people. And I think it's a God thing. I've wanted to work in law enforcement and be the sheriff since I was 4 or 5 years old. I can even remember back in the day, mom has pictures of me in video, not video clips, but old Super 8 clips of me wearing a little policeman's outfit that she bought for me when I was just a little bitty guy. But serving people and keeping them safe is what I love to do. So when I get up every day and come to the office, or when I get in my patrol car, and it's been that way my entire career, it's not a job to me. It is an honor to me that I get to serve you, that I get to keep you safe, that I get to help you when you hit bumps in life and bumps that you need help. And sometimes it's just, trying to work your way through this very complicated government system on questions or issues that you may have. But if you serve the people and you do what they hire you to do, then things work out. And I'm evidence of that.
Yes, definitely. And we appreciate everything that you do for our county. In fact, in 2020, you were reelected unopposed. Um, what are some things you're hoping to accomplish and build on your 5th term?
Well, keeping crime low is obviously number one because if you're not safe and you don't feel safe, then you don't thrive as an individual. You don't thrive as a home. You don't thrive as a community. So that's number one. Number two is, we've had active assailants come to our schools and try to hurt our children and our teachers. I'm not going to accept that, and why we've seen that all across the nation. Now, I can't guarantee you that there will never be an active assailant at a theater, at a business, at a school, but I can tell you that we got a lot of systems and processes that we've put in place. And a lot of those have been during my 5th term, but a lot of those were in my 4th term and my 3rd term and my 2nd term because we're very proactive about putting in place systems and practices and policies that keep you from being a victim of crime. We don't just want to solve crime after it occurs. We want to first keep you from being a victim of crime. In addition to that, another key factor in my 5th term is helping those that have drug addictions and that have mental health issues. Curtis, when I first got into law enforcement way back in the day, if we Baker acted someone, and that is the term for picking someone up for a mental health evaluation, if they determined they were in need of long-term help, in the state of Florida, we had mental health hospitals. So we could transport them for long-term assistance. Well, they did away with all of that. And the mentally ill that were in hospitals getting help, getting long-term help, they ended up in jails or they ended up as homeless, and that's not acceptable. We need to get the mentally ill out of jail, and we need to get them into mental health help, long term mental health help, so that they can thrive. That's one of my goals this year and during my fifth term of office.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I want to kind of turn it into a little fun fact. So, a lot of people might not know a fun fact about you, America's sheriff. You're, um, what's one fun fact that you can let people know?
Well, I guess I got the term America's Sheriff when I ended up the president of the Major County Sheriffs Association of America. So they started calling me America's Sheriff. But you know what? I'm the people's sheriff of Polk County. And gosh, if the people across the United States want to share that with me, that's okay with me. But I guess one of the fun things that I get to do is I get to go to elementary schools and I have lunch with our elementary kids every now and then. And I was at an elementary school the other day and sat beside a little guy, and he was about 8 years old, maybe 7 years old. And he told me, he said, "You better hurry up." I said, "I better hurry up eating." He says, "No, you better hurry up being the sheriff, because when I grow up, I'm going to be the sheriff." And I thought that was awesome.
Oh wow, yeah, that is awesome. um, I'm just moving right along. So, you mentioned in your previous question about mental health. So I want to actually go there. Your office has embraced incorporating mental health practices. Can you talk about how law enforcement practices have evolved and improved in your 50 years of service from when you began in 1972 at the age of 18 as a dispatcher?
Sure, I want to take you generationally first from the jail's perspective. In 1972, in the early 70s, when I first started, we didn't have as many mentally ill people in jail then as we do today, percentage wise. Of course, there weren't as many people in jail, but the the community was not as large. But percentage wise of the jail population, we had less because we had a mental health hospital, and that was a statewide hospital that we could take people. And then when the hospital went away, we find that people that needed long-term mental health were many times committing crimes, not because they wanted to be crime committers, but because they were significantly mentally ill. And so as a result, I have seen the deterioration of the ability to help the mentally ill because they don't have a hospital for long-term help. They can't afford their medication or won't stay on their medication. When they start feeling better, they quit taking it. I've seen that difference. That's why in this fifth term, we've got to do more to help those that are drug addicted and the mentally ill. And working together, we can take those people out of jails and out of prisons and put them in mental health hospitals and get them long term help. But we've all got to work together. Now, on the other side, internally, what I've seen is for the deputy or the police officer, back in the day, there wasn't any help if you were suffering from significant stress from being involved in a violent incident. Oh, so now we have crisis intervention teams, we have employee assistance groups. I contract with a psychiatrist so that if we have employees, not just deputies, but any employees that are struggling with issues, we don't want to lose them. We don't want them to continue to suffer or to continue to have mental health issues. So we have a lot of infrastructure together to help them. Listen, the world's a lot more complicated than it used to be, and it's a lot more stressful than it used to be. Social media, 24/7 news, negative news, work, kids, it all adds up. And together, we've all got to have systems and processes in our schools, in our places of work, in our churches, and in our homes so that when we're overloaded with stress, that we can get help. We're all pushing toward that. And I've seen that greatly improve over the years from how it used to be.
Wow, yes, thank you so much for in depth explaining that because that means a lot. Now I want to kind of jump over into how should leaders in position like yours ensure accountability while maintaining and building a positive culture?
You know, that is the whole purpose of leadership. It's to lead from the front. It's to set the example. You see, the example starts with not just what you say, but what you do. As a leader here at the sheriff's office, how can we ask the community to follow the rules, the laws, if law enforcement doesn't? So we set the rules here first. I expect my deputies to be positive influences in the community, and they are. I expect them to be engaged in the community, not just while they're at work, but I want them to be at the Little League field, at the soccer field. I want them involved at the basketball courts with their kids and with the neighbors because that's how we are engaged with the community. If we trust the community first, the community trusts us back. That's what our deputies do. And I'm very proud of all of that work. But I do have almost 2,000 employees and a little more than 1,000 deputies. Every now and then, one of them messes up big time. And if they do, they have to be an example of what we don't accept here at the sheriff's office. The people have a right to hold us to a higher standard and expect more of us. And I'm proud of my deputies every day. That's what they do. But when one just violates the law, and that occurs occasionally, then we don't only terminate their employment, but I lock them up in jail. Because if my deputies are going to arrest people in the community that violate the law, if you violate the law as a deputy, certainly you have to be held accountable first. So at the end of the day, that is a rare thing for us to have to even terminate somebody's employment. It's a very rare thing that we have an egregious violation of law. So if that happens, we're going to do the right thing. One of my quotes that I got from my boss a long time ago: you do the right thing, I'll do the right thing. You do the wrong thing, I'm still going to do the right thing. And that's not just in the community, but that's also at the office as well. So when I look at the men and women of the sheriff's office, it's not just my job to lead them. It's not just their supervisor's job to lead them. It's the deputies and the employees' job to be a leader in the community and be a helper in the community. That's why the overwhelming majority of the men and women that work here, you can find them in their house of worship on the weekend. You can find them engaged with the kids playing soccer and little league and dance and recital. Because you know what? When we engage with our kids, that's what makes America great. When we look out for each other like we did in the hurricane, that's what makes America great. I am proud of this community. I'm proud of the people in this community because, yes, there's a few that violate the law and they have to be held accountable. But that's not the overwhelming majority of the people of this county. They're wonderful people who work hard and do what's right. And I enjoy and consider it a true honor to be their leader. I'll always do what's right for the men and women in this community.
Yes, and over the years, you have shown that you aren't afraid to discipline officers under your leadership, and we thank you for being transparent to the people of Polk County and abroad. Um, Something that isn't often discussed is the actual price of becoming a law enforcement officer. In the past, it could be upwards of several thousands of dollars for training and examinations. Uh, what does the process of becoming a law enforcement officer look like today?
Well, first and foremost, I thank you for asking that, Curtis, because I want to recruit. I want those that are listening and watching today to consider a career with the sheriff's office. Now, that can be a detention deputy, a deputy sheriff on patrol, or that can be support staff. I've had people say, "Oh, I don't want to be a deputy." Well, the office of sheriff is not just detention deputies and law enforcement deputies. Do you know I hire people who work on cars? I hire IT specialists. I hire CPAs, finance people, veterinarians, doctors, nurses. So this is an entire government. And if you're interested or have a loved one that's interested in coming to work for the sheriff's office, we want you to be a star on our team. But let me give you an example. You're a young man or a young woman, and you go, I would love to go in law enforcement, but I can't quit my job to go to the academy. I can't afford the academy. I can't be without a job. Listen, folks, I will pay you $3,000 a month and pay for your academy. Then, when you successfully complete the academy and the state exam, I will hire you to be one of my deputies. Did you hear what I said? So think about that. I'll pay for your school, I'll pay you to go to school, and I'll give you a career. Now, once you're off of employment probation is 1 year. Then I'll pay a full ride for you to go to college to get your associate's, your bachelor's, your master's degree. Oh, and then not only will I pay for your college, but then I'll pay you another stipend for having your college degree for the rest of your career here. We have a great retirement system. We have health care. But more than all of that, we have the opportunity to serve the people of Polk County, to help them during their time of need. And really, that's more fulfilling to me than any of the other benefits.
Wow, that is awesome, Sheriff. I mean, you just heard it. Now, where can they go to apply?
You can actually apply online. Just Google in or search up Polk Sheriff or polksheriff.org and go to our website, or come down to Human Resources at our Special Operations Center. And our Operations Center is on Highway 540, and it's just between Lakeland and Winter Haven off of the Jim Keene Road. But we will help start the process online from your living room. So while you're watching your favorite program on television tonight or watching the ball game, you can search up the online application and start the application from your home. We want you to work with us. Now, listen, I got to tell you something, Curtis, that I'm really, really proud of. The African American work population in Polk County is about 13.5%. But guess what? The African American work population at the sheriff's office is almost 17%. That's right. Percentage wise, we have a lot more people working at the sheriff's office of color than we do even in the work population. And I'm proud of that. And I want to be better. And do you know what? That's not just deputies, that's not just detention deputies, but communications. We have our emergency communication center that starts out at I'm 35,000 dollars a year to start, tops out about 55 or $60,000. And that is the true first responder that takes that 911 call. We provide training and pay you while we train you to do that, and all of the support jobs that we have. So it's exciting. We have a very diverse organization: race, sex, age. We have like 5 generations of age working at the sheriff's office. That's pretty cool. So, what our goal is for the sheriff's office membership to reflect the community membership. And we do a pretty darn good job at making that happen.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that. Into the next question. Polk County has grown by nearly 200,000 residents. How has your office responded to this growth, and how do you see the sheriff office in the future growing to meet the community and safety needs of our county?
Curtis, you're exactly right. I want to suggest this to you. In the last 2 years alone, 58,000 new people moved to Polk County. This year, we anticipate at the current growth rate 22,000 more, or almost 80,000 people, almost a city the size of Lakeland, has moved into our county in the last 3 years alone. Now, you speak of 200,000. That's over what, the last 10 years? So we're a growing community. And the people we find that are coming here are good people, hardworking people, retirees. They're wanting to escape the cold up north. They're wanting to retire here to the sunny south. Some are moving here to get away from the craziness that they're watching in New Orleans and Detroit and Chicago and Washington, D.C., and out in San Francisco and Los Angeles and Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington. So they're coming here because they don't want that unsafe community. They want to come here where it's safe. So I'm excited about that. But we have to grow as the sheriff's office. For example, our Board of County Commissioners is awesome. I am so proud of them. You all have elected a great Board of County Commissioners. And in fact, one of our commissioners, Martha Santiago, is up for reelection here this November. She is a fantastic person, and even better county commissioner if you can be better than how fantastic she and her family are. But think about this. Their number one priority is public safety. They have engaged in hiring more deputies. They just agreed this last year to hire me 125 new deputies at 25 deputies a year. In addition to that, they've provided pay raises for our deputies and equipment and technology that I asked for. They've built many, many, many new fire stations and hired many, many new people to staff fire and EMS. So when you dial 911 and you need an ambulance or you need a fire truck, that it's there for you. Our Board of County Commissioners are simply the very best. But they recognize, and it's proven to be true, if you have public safety, and it's the best public safety, then the people will come because they want to live in a safe community where they can get help from either law enforcement or fire or EMS in the way of an ambulance. So at the end of the day, we are responding to that, Curtis, and we have to. We have to add resources in order that services don't slip, but we improve services that keeps crime low and makes you safe.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Now, I want to actually, when you talk about safety, getting pulled over can always be an anxiety inducing. What are some tips you have for ensuring a peaceful interaction?
You know, Curtis, anything other than a peaceful interaction has really been overblown in the media in the last few years. I can tell you no one, young, old, white, brown, black, doesn't get anxious when they get pulled over because they think, what have I done? Why are they stopping me? What are they going to say? Am I going to get a ticket? We all go through those same emotions. And I got to tell you, whether you're in law enforcement or not, law enforcement officers get pulled over occasionally. I had one of my deputies about a year ago got pulled over in another county speeding and got a ticket, just like they should have. And my advice was pay the ticket and quit speeding when you're not working. So at the end of the day, we all get that little feeling about what's going on here. But I tell folks, the person stopping you is a human being too. So if you'll relax, keep your hands on the steering wheel where they can see them, roll the window down, and talk to them like you would want your mother talked to. And if the deputy or the officer talks to you like he would want his mother talked to, then y'all will have a beautiful interaction. Here's what happens. When law enforcement officers make traffic stops and the people run, they fight, they hide, they don't cooperate, they scream, they holler. That starts the situation downhill. So I tell folks, I coach and teach my deputies to be very respectful. If you're involved in a traffic stop and they're not respectful, call us. We'll hold them accountable. We'll ask questions. But what I have found the overwhelming majority of the time when somebody said, well, I had a bad interaction. So what happened? You didn't roll your window down. You wouldn't talk to them. You sped off from the traffic stop. You fled. You wouldn't do like the deputy or the police officer requested you to do. If you provide a negative action, it's going to have to have a reaction by the law enforcement officer. Now, I'm not telling you that law enforcement officers are perfect. None of us are perfect. God only made one perfect person, and that was Jesus. But what I'm telling you, that if you go along, even if you think it's not right, then call us. If the deputy or the police officer didn't do right, we can fix it. There's nothing that they do that I can't fix if you give me the opportunity. But if you start running and fighting, then even though your primary reason for being upset could be legitimate, if you fight, you can make a wrong situation a problem for you by fighting. But if you just say, tell the officer, sir, ma'am, I don't think this is right. I'd like to talk to your supervisor. And then you can talk to the supervisor or call me after the stop's over. Call my office and we'll have a supervisor or a captain or a lieutenant, a big boss, call you. There's nothing that can happen at a traffic stop that we can't fix if you'll just be cool at the traffic stop and not overreact. Now, understand, I'm teaching my deputies, you don't see this, to be cool when they stop traffic, stop cars, and don't overreact either. But here's a statistic. Beside domestic violence calls, the most dangerous thing a law enforcement officer does is stop vehicles because they don't know what's going on inside that vehicle. And usually they've stopped it for speeding or some suspicious activity. So if you can, as a driver, say, well, I didn't mean to weave on the road. I dropped my cell phone and tried to pick it up. That's cool. Everybody gets that. So we can make these interactions work. Now, what you don't see, Curtis, and I'll end with this. Out of 100,000 traffic stops, maybe 10 of them go bad out of 100,000. But see, you don't hear about all of them that go right. And our goal is to have all 100,000 traffic stops always go right. But the officer's safety and your safety depends upon both of you communicating and being calm, cool, and collected.
Thank you so much for that tip. Now, I want to jump in real quick. You served as a commissioner on the Marjorie Stone Douglas High School Public Safety Commission and were appointed by former president to serve as the member of the Coordinating Council on Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. Are you satisfied with the progress you've seen? And would you ever serve another 3-year term if reappointed by
Sure.
the current president?
First and foremost, I was appointed 2 weeks before the end of President Trump's term. The paperwork never came. So when the new administration took office, I asked, where's my paperwork? Mysteriously, it disappeared. So I never attended a meeting that I was appointed to. I guess it was good for 2 weeks until the new administration came in and they went in a different direction. And that's okay. That's cool. I understand that. But I am on the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Commission. I was appointed to that, and then they extended the commission this last legislative session. And Curtis, I can tell you, it's one of the most fulfilling assignments I've ever had in my entire career to be able to take a deep dive and see why that horrible, evil, massacring, murdering individual did what he did. I was not surprised because it was Broward County, not shocked because it was Broward County, but totally disappointed that they didn't give him the death penalty. If there's ever been anyone on the face of this earth that deserved the death penalty, he deserved the death penalty for massacring those children and those teachers. So we've been able to take a deep dive into that Marjorie Stoneman Douglas event and make positive changes for the entire state of Florida and the nation. We saw epic failures by the sheriff's office down there. We saw epic failures by the school system. We saw epic failures in the 911 regional dispatch center. And we have made recommendations and seen changes that helps reduce the probabilities of children ever being a victim again. But let me tell you, Curtis, one of the things that shocked me the most, Broward County is ground zero where the children were massacred. When the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas law changed that said, among other things you have to do, you have to have one well-trained armed guardian, police officer, or deputy sheriff on every campus in school. The last county, the last school district in the entire state to comply with the law, and they complied with the law past the due date by a year, was Broward County where the massacre happened. They didn't care about those children dying like they should have. They were total failures, and they continued to be a total failure in that school system. And just this last week or last year, our our Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Commission has found where they still aren't turning in their reports and doing the right evaluations on the kids that show a proclivity to be dangerous. I say words matter. And they're supposed to follow up with kids that do threatening gestures or words. And we've still had problems with Broward County.
Mm. Wow. Wow. I'm gonna jump over because we're almost finished. This year, you're 17th as sheriff. You're set to surpass your predecessor as the longest serving sheriff in county history. And at the end of your current term, you will have served 20 years as sheriff. Do you see yourself seeking a 6 year term?
Oh, I absolutely do. I'm excited about running for reelection, and it will be in the next presidential year. So at the end of this year, I'll be 2 years through my 4 year term, and I will announce and run for reelection as sheriff. Listen, Curtis, you know, you're in the political circle. I've been asked to run for federal House of Representatives, Congress. I've been asked to run for the state senate. I've been asked to run to be governor after Governor DeSantis is finished. I don't want to do that. I want to continue to serve my community, my friends, all of the people of Polk County. This is where I was born and raised, and this is who I am. I'm a cop, and I'm a police administrator, and I'm a sheriff. That's who I am, and I'm so proud that you allow me to be the sheriff. So yes, the agency's moving forward. We're progressing with our technology. We're progressing to serve. We're keeping crime down. And I wake up even after 50 years of service before the alarm goes off to come to work to serve you, and I love it. So every term I've run, I've heard, oh, you're not going to run again. You're not going to run again. Clearly and unequivocally, if anybody tells you that you heard that the sheriff was not going to run, that's not true. I am, underscore, I am going to run for my sixth term of office. It's an honor to serve you. It's an honor to keep you safe. And I appreciate you allowing me to work for you.
Thank you so much, Sheriff. And yes, you heard it from Sheriff himself. He will be running for a sixth term. Now we're actually at the end of the segment, Sheriff. I'm going to give you this opportunity to share anything you would like before we close.
Sure, Curtis. I appreciate you allowing me to be with you today. And I want to brag on Curtis. He served the community. He's a wonderful man in the community. He is a connector between all of the community and the different local politicians. So when you think of someone who cares about their community, someone who's engaged, think of Curtis because he's simply the best. We work together to keep the community safe. We're preparing right now for Christmas. That's right, for Christmas time. We have a statement that no child wakes up on Christmas morning without Christmas presents. We're collecting Christmas presents right now. We're working with our friends from Toys for Tots to make sure that collectively we ensure that every child has an awesome Christmas. In fact, Curtis, I don't know if you know this, but we've started going to the jail and the ladies who may have children at home that are under 18. And if their situation doesn't allow them to be home at Christmas, we ask them, hey, we'd like to take presents to your child, your son, your daughter. And they give us their child's name and age and where we can find them. And we have deputies take presents to the home of the children whose parents are visiting with us in jail with a message. Mom couldn't be here today, but she wanted to send you this present and wish you a Merry Christmas. That's what we do. We connect with the community. We love the community. About 15% of a deputy's day is enforcing the law. 85% of a deputy's day is serving you and helping. God bless you all. I look forward to talking with you again. Thanks, Curtis. You're the man.
Thank you, Sheriff. It's been an honor. You're definitely a friend of mine, and I really appreciate you and all that you do for our county and abroad. So, again, I just say thank you for agreeing to speak with me today. Getting to chat with you is always a privilege. I want to extend our condolences to you and your law enforcement family on the loss of the young Deputy Sheriff Blaine Lane, who you posthumously made honorary sheriff, as that had been his dream to follow your footsteps in public service. What a noble thing to inspire to love and serve others as yourself and be willing to lay down your life for another. My greatest hope is that our young people see leaders like you and think to themselves, I want to be like him. I want to make a difference. We all have a great desire to see our community grow and thrive. We all have a place. We all belong. I encourage everyone listening to find that place wherever that's getting involved in your church, volunteering at a public library, the sheriff's department, joining your Rotary, Lion, and Kiwanis clubs, finding common cause to create positive change using your time, talent, and treasures. I would like to thank everyone that will be watching this episode. Thanks to all who support me in efforts to share important information on social media. I'm Curtis Gibson with Straight Talk logging off. God bless America. Thank you.
That was great, Curtis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff. I was just